On this episode of Motorsport Recently, we look back at Honda Indy Toronto and the Mobil 1 Sports Car Grand Prix. Have Tequila Patron stopped sponsoring ESM? What is Racers Alliance? And what's FOM's deal with Instagram? This is Triple Crown Racing, let's get into it. So before I get into the news today, I decided to touch on the fact that it has been 3 years since the death of Jules Bianchi. If you're an F1 fan, you'll know who he is, and I want to say on behalf of myself and everyone else in this community is that we all miss you, Jules, and our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and we will forever be left wondering what could have been. Our thoughts are with you. I want to talk about something quite exciting, and that is, since I began my partnership with Arc Racing, I've been making connections in the racing community, and I've actually formed a group. I call this group Racers Alliance, and it is a chat I have on Instagram where I collaborate with other motorsport pages. What we do is we all work to promote each other on Instagram. This will in turn allow all of us to grow our Instagram accounts and other social media platforms. So who am I in partnership with then? I'm going to list them now. F1 India, AGF1 blog, Arc Racing, Holtz Racing, F1 Weekends, and PPG IndyCar. I'll leave a link to my Instagram and all of their pages in the description below. Be a Ripper legend and give them a follow. So following the absolutely mental race at Iowa, IndyCar crossed the border into Canada for the Honda Indy Toronto. Scott Dixon had a 33-point lead in the championship over Joseph Newgarden, with the top 5 separated by just 53 points. All eyes were on James Hinchcliffe and Robert Wickens coming into their home race, particularly Hinchcliffe after his win in Iowa. Joseph Newgarden qualified on pole for the race, followed by Dixon and the two Penske's of Simon Pagenaud and Will Power. So the race got underway, and the first lap was difficult to put into words. There were many overtakes happening left, right, and center. It was just crazy. To give you an idea of the absolute chaos that happened on the first lap, it was 5 cars wide into turn 1 on a street circuit, and nobody crashed, which is crazy. On a street circuit going 5 wide into turn 1, you wouldn't get that at Monaco, would you? So people didn't crash out on the opening lap, but a few laps later, Sebastian Bourdais crashed in turn 1. But as we would find out later, turn 1 would be the place where many woes would take place. Also, Ryan Hunter-Reay crashed in turn 3 later on, but really that's street circuits for you. However, around the same time, Alexander Rossi and Will Power made contact, and both of these incidents put together brought out a full course caution. Coming up to the restart, it was Newgarden in the lead, followed by Dixon. However, when the race went back to green, Newgarden hit the wall hard and Dixon took the lead. But then this happened. This was a 7-car pile-up involving Max Chilton, Will Power, Sebastian Bourdais, Graham Rahal, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Alexander Rossi, and Ed Jones. All of these guys were major contenders in the race, and along with Newgarden, they were all basically heading to pit road. Scott Dixon ran away from the rest of the field, but Simon Pagenaud and Robert Wickens were the ones to watch, as they had an awesome scrap going into the closing stages of the race. I reckon Pagenaud was a little too defensive though. What do you guys think? Scott Dixon came home to win with Simon Pagenaud in second, followed by the two Canadians, Robert Wickens and James Hinchcliffe. Dixon now has a 62-point lead in the championship over Newgarden. By this point, it looks like that Dixon has the championship won. But if he gets a few bad results, which I must say is unlikely, Newgarden could still come back. Next up is Mid-Ohio. This is a track that Scott Dixon likes, as he's won there 5 times. But Newgarden won the race last year. I reckon it'll be Newgarden versus Dixon at the next race, and we could have something very, very interesting. The most recent round of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship saw the teams and drivers make their way to Canada for the Mobil 1 Sports Car Grand Prix at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This was coming off the back of a thrilling Salem 6 hours of the Glen, which saw something very rare happen, that being a win for an LMP2 car, specifically the number 99 JDC Miller Motorsport car. In qualifying, the Core Autosport car qualified on pole, but once again decided to give up the pole and go to the back, meaning that the number 6 Penske Acura took pole position. In GTLM, it was the number 911 Porsche on pole, and in GTD, it was the number 15 3GT Lexus. So the stage was set for an awesome race. The number 6 Penske of Dane Cameron was doing well, and was pulling away from the field and essentially dominated the first part of the race. But Core Autosport were making their way through the field. Porsche looked strong in the early stages of the race, but they had Corvette close behind. In GTD, it was Lexus leading the way, but the number 33 Team Riley Mercedes had great pace and was giving the Lexi a run for their money. Multiple Lexus. But then, one of the most controversial moments of the race happened. The wheels fell off the number 6 Penske team's race. Quite literally. One of the front wheels fell off the number 6 Penske that was being driven by one Pablo Montoya at the time. This brought out a full course caution and opened up the race in all three classes. The number 67 Ford capitalized off this, pitting under the caution, which allowed the 67 team to clear the GTLM competition. The Penske incident was followed up by the number 55 Mazda ending up in the gravel traps. However, just before the yellow flags came out for this incident, Colin Brown managed to get past the number 10 Cadillac, taking the lead of the race. All he had to do now was get to the end, and he would win. When these two cautions happened and the sprint to the finish began, the racing really heated up. In GTD, the 33 Riley Mercedes got past the number 14 3GT Lexus. The Lexus then came under pressure from the number 44 Magnus Racing Audi. These guys were scrapping right to the end of the race. So the race came to a close with Core Autosport coming home to win in the prototype class, meaning that an LMP2 has won 2 races in a row. The 67 Ford came home to win in GTLM, and the 33 Merc won in GTD. This race had some awesome action, and once again IMSA has put on a show. It is Cadillac 1, 2, 3 in the championship right now, with the Wheeling car leading, followed by the Mustang sampling car and the Konica Minolta number 10 car. In 4th place, it's actually Core Autosport with their LMP2 Orica. In GTLM, the 67 car still leads the championship, but is closely followed by the 3 Corvette and the 66 sister car. In GTD, the battle between the 48 Paul Miller Racing Team and the 86 Meyershank Acura is closer than ever, only being separated by 3 points in the championship. The next race is a GT-only round, Lime Rock Park. Last year, Porsche dominated, winning both GTLM and GTD. So far, it looks like it'll be more of the same, with Porsche topping practice in both classes. The closest to Porsche and GTLM are Ford, but their time is still 4/10 slower than Porsche. It's looking like we may have a repeat of 2017, but as IMSA has proved countless times, nothing is out of the question. We'll just have to wait to see what happens. So we got some news over the weekend that Tequila Patron were going to stop sponsoring ESM, which is really a shame because the ESM Tequila Patron livery has become so iconic in the American sports car racing scene. Not only that, but Tequila Patron are pulling out of All American Motorsport and will stop sponsoring the North American Endurance Championship, meaning it will lose its title sponsor. In case you don't know, the North American Endurance Championship is the endurance component of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Tequila Patron have been in partnership with ESM since 2010, and since then they have had success at the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12 Hours, and Petit Le Mans. Now ESM are looking for a new title sponsor, and I hope they find one. It's a shame to see Tequila Patron go, as damn I love that livery so much. This week, Formula 1 management decided to be annoying. They decided to launch a full-scale assault on Instagram and decided to delete everyone's posts besides their own that used Formula 1 footage. They even went to extreme measures and deleted an Instagram account by the name of RichMix3. This account was very popular with a follower count well into the thousands. I can't say I knew about RichMix3 before it was deleted, but because his account was deleted, everyone in the Formula 1 community got very, very scared. My partner partner F1 India has lost 40 posts due to them being deleted by Formula 1 management. And this hit very close to home. Don't go after my partner's FOM. The general consensus is this is due to copyright issues, but what annoys me about this is the footage that people are using are from races from like 5 years ago. Now, most of the footage is from Formula 1's YouTube page, and I get the fact that they get money from their YouTube page because of monetization. But FOM, most of your fan base has already seen those videos, and you're not going to lose any money from this as they're only short clips. They're not going onto Instagram or watching your entire video. All you have achieved is you have made the community hate you even more now. If it wasn't a problem before, why is it a problem now? I almost kind of agree with you deleting people's posts, but don't delete people's pages. That's just too far. The damage has been done on Instagram already. All I think we can hope for now is that FOM stop doing what they're doing on Instagram. This isn't the first time FOM have been annoying, and considering this is an organization that took 6 years to allow Codemasters to use the podium ceremony in their games, it isn't a surprise at all. What I'm scared of now is the impending threat that FOM are going to come down like a ton of bricks on YouTube. That's why I didn't even use their intro in this video. I'm that scared. Hopefully I'll be here next week, I don't actually know. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this episode of Motorsport recently. None of the footage I used is mine, so I'll leave a link to the channels that do own them in the description below, and also all the links to my partner's Instagram pages. Go give them a follow. FOM, don't kill me. Goodbye.